Hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving. I didn't do anything to celebrate. I spent most of the long weekend trying to declutter and clean. That's what happens when instead of owning your stuff owns you. I feel like whatever free time I have, I need to devote to trying to manage the chaos of my clutter. But it is what it is, and I'm working to change that by doing my best to clear stuff out. I went through old paperwork and I took 11 old paint cans to the hazardous waste disposal, chipping away little by little. What so often keeps me from being able to part with items are all the what ifs that pop up in my head. What if I need this later? What if this is important information I should save? What if someone else could use this? What if I can't replace this later? Basically, I'm seeking certainty before I feel I can let something go. Intellectually, I know, other than death and taxes, nothing's certain. But by going through all the what ifs, my brain keeps seeking certainty. At the IOCDF conference this past July, I attended a presentation on ERP games to address OCD. ERP stands for Exposure Response Prevention. The individual is exposed to what causes them anxiety, and they are prevented from engaging in the compulsion that usually alleviates their anxiety. Compulsions actually make things worse. Yes, you alleviate the immediate anxiety in the short term. You avoid that pain. But by engaging in the compulsion, the disorder gains strength and you suffer in the long term. An example of ERP for someone who has a fear of germs would be touching a public toilet seat with their bare hand. That's the exposure. And they don't wash their hands afterwards. That's the response prevention. For those of you cringing at the thought, yep, it's not easy to fight OCD, anxiety, or hoarding disorder. I stopped subscribing to periodicals years ago because I wouldn't get rid of them until I'd read them from cover to cover. Realistically, I didn't have the time to read everything from front to back. So what would I do with all the magazines and newspapers? Save them to read later. But later never came around. Subscriptions are active acquisitions. I ended my subscriptions and stopped those from coming in. But there are also passive acquisitions, junk mail, brochures, promotional giveaways. There's a certain amount of stuff that finds its way to me. For example, this program guide from a show I went to see. I wish I had left it at the theater, but nope. I brought it home with me because I thought, what if there's an article or information in here that would be beneficial to me? I got this in June. It's now November. Am I going to read through it? Most likely not, but the what ifs are powerful. So I'm going to use one of the ERP games I learned at the conference to battle the what ifs. It's called the may or may not game. Tolerating uncertainty means not doing the math. Seeking certainty over whether or not to throw out an item is a losing game. So instead of seeking certainty and thinking, what if this has an article in it that would be of interest to me, I take that thought and repackage it. I'm going to say, this may or may not have an article in it that would be of interest to me. That helps me stop interacting with the obsessive what if thoughts. This may or may not have an article in it that would be of interest to me. This random battery I found in the drawer may or may not still have juice in it. I may or may not try out this restaurant in the future. I may or may not do any of these paper crafts. There may or may not be an ad or coupon in here that would be of interest to me. I'll be perfectly honest, I haven't been able to do this with everything. My default is to seek certainty. But if I keep seeking certainty with everything I'm trying to let go of, I'll never get through it. So I will take whatever victories I can manage.